Dionysus and the hidden code in the tarot revealed. Hidden codes and natural matrices. Palindromic pairing, but most convincing to me is the palindromic inconsistency when pairing the tarot keys. They just don't work out right unless you renumber the deck to reflect the proper numbering. For example, Justice is key 12, not 11. The proof is when you match Justice with its palindromic pair. Palindrome to key 12, key 21, is Judgment, which is arguably the higher octave of Justice. This is the case for every key. Death, key 14, not 13. Its palindrome is key 41, not 31. 10 of Cups, which would make no sense. But Death matched with the 6 of Swords, key 41, does make sense, as Death describes a journey to the underworld, and the 6 of Swords is an illustration of Charon ferrying the souls of the dead across the river Styx. Some palindromes showed the higher octaves of keys. Others are contrasting, but every key is uncannily matched to its corresponding palindrome. This is proof enough that it must be the natural order of the cards. Still, there is further proof to be found in the numbers assigned to the celestial cards, the moon and the sun. The moon has been associated with the numbers 3 and 30 and the triple goddess since time immemorial. Likewise, the sun has been associated with the numbers 20, the sun and moon gods of Mesopotamia on Wikipedia. Yet, the current numbering system lists the High Priestess, a card obviously associated with the moon, as key 2, and the 8 of Cups, the moon's eclipse card, as key 29. In addition, they number the sun as 19, when that is another moon number. The moon takes 19 years to complete its cycle of lunations, which is why there are 19 Aubrey holes at Stonehenge. But by simply renumbering the Fool card as 1 instead of a 0, everything is put back in order. The High Priestess then becomes 3. The 8 of Cups becomes 30. The Sun card becomes 20. And the Moon card becomes 19. Like magic, it's like inserting the 1 where the 0 was is like turning a key and unlocking all these secrets. Suddenly, the entire deck corresponds. When I palindromically match the cards now, they pair. They fit together like hand and glove, where the current numbering doesn't. And this leads me to believe that perhaps this was all done intentionally to keep the true numbering of the deck an esoteric secret, something that only adepts are aware of. If there's any more lingering doubts, then the Zadok, the 18th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, should settle it. Looking at the letter and the description of the letter and what the concept of the Zadok has evolved into. The 18th letter, when turned on its right, resembles the figure on the card, the star. Not to mention that the meaning of the Hebrew letter is kneeling man. But the card is an enigmatic storehouse of symbolism related to the Rider-Waite Tarot. The soul whose merits have surpassed their iniquity, making them a Merkaba, a vehicle for the soul. And this is what connects the star card to the chariot, which is the card of the Merkaba. The charioteer has an 8-pointed star on his helmet, and the star is the chariot's higher octave. Jewish people have long made charitable donations in multiples of 18 because this is the number of the Zadok, and that does an additional blessing according to adherents. What would make anyone believe then that the star is numbered 17? It just makes no sense. The Hebrew letters are also numbers, and the value of the 18th letter is 90. When you reduce 90, that is, take 9 and add it to 0, you get 9. When you reduce 18, you also get 9. The only error I can see is on key 13, the hanged one. Now, I really do like the inclusivity, but they are associating this card to Neptune instead of Uranus like it should be. The hangman makes a gesture of the number 8 with his arms and the number 4 with his legs, spelling out the number 84, which is the number of years it takes Uranus to orbit the sun. Correlating this card to Uranus, making more sense too, because this card also illustrates the Yggdrasil tree, which means Odin's gallows, and clearly Uranus, a sky god, not Neptune, the god of
This
the sea.
level of accuracy is remarkable.
But this level of accuracy is still remarkable, because this is the only key that got it wrong. The other associations are 100% spot on, even ones that are easily confused, like associating the Fool with the Sun instead of Uranus, or the Magician to the Sun instead of Mercury, which are commonly made mistakes. There's further confirmation in the court cards as well, where the Page and Knight of Cups both become master palindromes, keys 33 and keys 77, respectively. As adepts know, these cards relate to the astrological sign of Pisces, which fish symbolism was later adopted by Christians to represent Christ. In addition to Weiser's brilliance, the cards are also more inclusive, featuring different skin tones, and opening up Rider-Waite tarot imagery to everyone. I cannot commend the creator of this deck enough. To understand the Hebrew alphabet, you must lay the letters, the keys out, in what is called the Bauschaffiden format. This means that you read it left to right, and then instead of starting at the left again for line 2, you instead read it back right to left. By doing this, a surprising relationship between the letters emerges. Not only do each of these 11 pairs sum to 23, but notice the close connection between each pair, especially noting the Zayin and the Ayin, two similar sounding letters, and the illustrations of the cards. They seem to be aware of the similarity. Now, knowing these affinities allows you to construct any Hebrew word or name just by using the tarot keys. And the most immediate name, of course, that comes to mind is the Tetragrammaton, God's name, Yahweh, which is actually an amalgamation of 4 Hebrew letters, the Yod, followed by the He, and then the Vav, and another He. Notice how the cards illustrate God, using the Hermit and 2 emperors and a Hierophant. Any name, once converted into their Hebrew equivalents, can be determined using the trumps, and it makes for interesting discussions. Now, there aren't any vowels in Hebrew except for Aleph. You could consider that an A, and Ayin can be considered an O. The palindromic pairing matches the keys to their complements or higher octaves, beginning with the Fool numbered 0, 1, and its palindrome, 10, the Hermit. The Hermit is clearly the higher octave of the Fool. They both depict a figure standing on the precipice of a mountain. The Fool shows the figure when he is young and freshly experiencing the world. The Hermit, on the other hand, is older and wiser and sure-footed, where the Fool is haughty and careless. The two represent a circuit of becoming. The Trinity. The Father is the King of Wands. The Son is the Page of Cups. The Holy Spirit is the Eight of Swords. Its illustration is to show that the spirit is trapped in the material realm. The 4 horsemen, the 6 days of creation, the 12 zodiac signs, the 22 prime keys, the 52 dancers, the 78 keys in the prime matrix. Most people use the cards to gain insight and wisdom from beyond, and while there is no wrong way to using them, as long as you're a sincere soul searcher, most of you rely, though, on chance and seek to find answers in the randomness of whatever card is thrown. Well, that certainly is possible. The right cards can and often do make their way into the lay, but this is leaving a lot up to variables. The cards have a way of getting its message across, and whether they are randomly drawn or not, working with the cards over time, though, you begin to realize that dealing the deck is really an unnecessary step, and that there is no reason to leave those questions to chance. The cards are right all the time and are consistent in the natural order, without having to be dealt or to cut the deck or to shuffle them. I'm going to turn you on to some secrets of the tarot. The only thing you're going to need is a deck of Rider-Waite tarot cards in natural order. I recommend Rider-Waite or any variation of those symbols, whether it be that or universal weight. You'll get mirror answers from the deck by studying the keys in their natural order. Starting with the Major Arcana, which illustrates the earth and the heavens, and in the in-between. This requires the renumbering of the Fool to 1, and adding a digit to every subsequent card. Consider this act equivalent to using a key that unlocks the secrets to the tarot. Secrets hidden from casual dabblers and known only to those who've spent any amount of time studying the cards. By changing the value of the Fool, you are able to arrange the keys into a grid, which I call the prime matrix. This grid not only illustrates the earth and the heavens, the sky, and the underworld, but it also creates 67 paths that connect each key to one another, similar to the paths between the Sephirah on the kabbalistic tree of life. Only these paths are numerically symmetrical, each path summing to one of the first 13 prime numbers. That is, they either sum to 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29, 31, 37, 41, or 43. The first 13 prime numbers. What's even more extraordinary is that if you add up all the paths that the prime numbers make, you get the triangular numbers. This is just extraordinary, and something so uniquely special in the symmetry, and it's a feature that the 10 Sephirah of the Kabbalah doesn't have. Prime numbers are said to be the atoms of numbers, and numbers, the composites, are just combinations of other prime numbers. This is the fundamental theorem of mathematics as stated by Euclid. For example, there is no 4 because 4 can be expressed by 2 times itself. There is no 12 because 12 is 2 times 3 times 2. Every number that isn't prime can be made up of a unique set of prime factors, just like we learned in school. Since in Hebrew, letters and numbers are the same things, it's only logical to express the personalities of the tarot keys according to their number in the sequence of the real numbers. By seeing the numerical relationships constructed by these prime matrices, we are expressing the entirety of the cosmos in abstract form. Determining these relationships requires them to fit in a framework that can be symmetrically assessed. And so, by arranging the major arcana in this matrix, we are looking at the structure of the universe, the atoms that comprise it, the prime numbers that hold it together. The inner realm here is the earth, and the Fool represents the entrance to this realm. The Fool is on a mountaintop, just like the Hermit. As we move outside of the inner realm, there are two orbits that comprise the mountains first, and then the sky. And finally, on the outer edge here, we have the heavenly realm, with the underworld below it. Now, the celestial planets occupy the upper sky. The angels all appear in the outer realm, either in the heavenly portions or the underworld. And every angelic representative remains above the sky. The bottom sky stands the Yggdrasil tree, where Odin hung himself. The two equines and the trumps appear in this area of the skies. And there's a continuance here of the pillars in the Hierophant and Justice, while the moon appears to be in both phases and in both sections. The keys are arranged so that the paths can be demonstrated, creating a lattice of sorts of 67 roads between cards. All roads equaling a prime number. 67, the number itself, is also prime. It's important to see the creation numbers as a sequence itself. The creation numbers begin with 3, the threefold Spirit of God, the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And anything that emanates in the material realm is polarized by duality and becomes doubled. And this is the 6 days of creation. God creates in 3 dimensions as well. So we look at the first 6 triangular numbers. 6 equals out to 21, which is a palindrome of 12, the number of signs in the zodiac. And 21 is the number of numbered keys in the Major Arcana. When we add the Fool and add a 1, we have now the sacred 22 keys. Now the 12th triangular number is 78, the number of total keys in the deck, and the number of platinum, the metal of the moon, which has dominion over the 78 keys of the tarot, and all wisdom, because the tarot is the Torah, hidden as it were under the moon, but brought it to light when brought beneath the sun. By adding 1 more to 78, we get 79, the 22nd prime number, which is the number of gold on the periodic table, the metal of the sun. This brings us to the Minor Arcana and what I call the dance of life. First, you lay out the cards in order, starting with the cups, in rows of 7, for a total of 7 rows. The last 3 cards, the crown, are situated above the matrix, in the middle. When we quadrate the deck, the universe's way of shuffling the cards, we take up the cards in the same way they were laid, starting with the last card first. After collecting all of the cards, we quadrate the deck, and this we do by dealing the cards into 4 piles, 3 cards at a time, until all the cards are dealt. The last 4 cards we're going to deal just 1 at a time. And what we have done is spiritualize these cards by moving them in groups of 3. Once we've done that, we collect the cards, starting with the 4th, the 3rd, and then the 2nd, and then the 1st. Now we go ahead and lay it out again into 4 piles, but this time only 1 card at a time until all cards are done. We collect the cards and we're going to go ahead and lay them out now. We're starting with the top row and in multiples of 7 rows, and then again using the last 3 at the top of the middle. Notice the cards have all changed places, except for these 3 cards. The Trinity. These cards have remained the same. The Father, the King of Wands, the Son is the Page of Cups in the middle of the cross, and the Holy Spirit, the Eight of Swords. Since every person born plays a role in the dance, locating your card via the day you were born is necessary. To determine your birth card, you simply take the month of your birth, times it by 2, and then add that figure to the day of your birth. Take that result and then subtract it from 55. And the number that you get there, look it up on this chart. That is your birth card. If the figure you arrived at exceeds 55, then simply subtract 52 to get the adjusted number. Now when we quadrate the deck, we advance the dance of life ahead by 1 year in real time. So if you wanted to find out what the cards have in store for you and you turn, say, 43 on your last birthday, then you quadrate the deck 43 times. I'll provide you with a link to an online calculator. If we imagine the Minor Arcana and Matrix as a body nailed to a cross, interesting things can be seen. First, you lay the Minor Arcana out in the 7 rows of 7, starting in order with the cups, then swords, then pentacles, and then wands. The last 3 wands go at the top and in the middle. This is called the crown line, or the sun line. The first row is the head. Card 26 is actually the very center on the cross. The second row is where the arms would be nailed, with this end being holding the 36th card, which is the Ace of Swords, and this end is the Eight of Cups. And then the third row would be where the heart is. Notice where a heart appears in its natural order, just like it would be if it was the body. The axis of lilies relates to the 7 of Pentacles and the 9 of Cups. The 2 cards two-step, meaning they flip back and forth throughout the dance of life. And to interpret the 2, the wish card versus the hard work card. The next, the axis of the Rose of Sharon is the 2 of Cups and the Ace of Swords, which is the axis of good and evil. The ace could also be that of righteousness. The 36th key is related to the Zodiac, a website that has a free calculator available to quadrate the deck, and it's such a time saver. They use regular playing cards, but that's okay. The key to equating them is easy. Hearts are cups, swords are clubs. I know some will want to argue and think that clubs are wands, but think of it like this. Clubs are a weapon. Pentacles are diamonds, and spades are wands. Think of wands as staves. I'll leave the link down below. They also have a handy birth card calculator. If I didn't give good instructions on how to figure out your birth card, you can figure it out automatically there. I'll leave both links. There's so much to explore, to tell about the Dance of Life Matrix, the Prime Matrix, and the keys, and how it returns to almost a natural order, except for the cards that flip on the 45th step, or the 45th year, and when they resume the dance backwards, then experiencing the same keys and the same lays as before, but with the flipping cards in their reverse positions. It's a trip. I could go on and on, but we leave that to another time. Thanks for watching.